Hello and welcome to our webinar as a part of our Topic Tuesday series for January. We're excited that you are here and joining us. We've got a fabulous presentation covering engaging minority populations for HBCU recruitment. We're excited that you decided to join us and hear from our fantastic panelists and presenters today. As you're joining us, as always, we have a fun intro activity, but we want to make sure that you're aware we are in webinar mode. We see your names, but we cannot see or hear your voices. So know that we still want to engage with you within this presentation. Way that we can do that is through the chat box. If you have a technology question or specific to the panelists, we've got a general question in terms of the content that's being presented today. Please use the Q&A feature and our panelists will be monitoring that and answering those questions as we go through the presentation. So as you're joining us, we've got an intro poll question that we're going to launch for everyone. This is kind of testing your HBCU knowledge. So the question is, how many HBCUs are there in the United States currently? So you've got three options, as you can see on the screen. Select which one you think is correct: 206, 107, or 315. We'll give our friends that are joining us a few minutes to log in, get settled, get excited to learn about our topic today from our panelists, and answer our poll question. So we've got a question of how many HBCUs are there in the United States today? Give everyone a few more seconds to log in and get those answers submitted. All right. Last call, about 5 more seconds, get your answers in and we'll look and see what those results are. Okay. So let me share out those poll results with everyone. So we had the highest percent selecting 107, and that is the correct response. There are currently 107 HBCUs in the United States. This is actually an increase from some older numbers that Shannon found in some data research, which was 101. So we're excited to proudly offer 107 HBCUs in the United States. I'm going to hand it over to our primary host today, Shannon, as she gets us started for today's webinar.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I'm Shannon Grimsley, the Director of State Outreach for the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and the Get to College program. We are recording today's session, and we will send a link to anyone who is registered. For those watching the recording, today's date is January 25th, 2022, and the material in this webinar is current through the 21-22 school year. In today's session, Engaging Minority Populations for HBCU Recruitment, you will hear the history of HBCUs, and you'll hear from staff members that work at our local HBCUs about the benefits for minority students who attend HBCUs. I will now share a little background on Get to College and a few logistics about the webinar before we get started. Get to College is a nonprofit program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We have 3 centers in Mississippi, one in Jackson, Ocean Springs, and South Haven. And we help parents, students, and high school counselors with all aspects of college planning and financial aid. And all of our services are completely free. In our centers, we offer personalized college counseling appointments where we can tell students when to apply for admission and scholarship, help fill out their FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, or advise on essay writing and interviewing. As Kirsten mentioned earlier, during the webinar, we cannot see or hear you, but we do ask that you will ask us questions at any time through Q&A or the messenger. All right, so today's agenda, our introduction, then we'll have our actual presentation, and then we'll wrap up with Q&A. So we do encourage y'all to ask questions, and then we'll go over some upcoming webinars and professional development opportunities and give you our contact information. My co-presenter, Kirsten Dufour, will be monitoring and replying to the Q&A today, but as I said earlier, we will have time for live Q&A with the presenters at the end. I would now like to introduce our guest speakers for today. Our first speaker is Danielle Griffin. Danielle is the director of the North Mississippi Get to College office. She is a Jacksonville, Florida native and is a 2012 graduate of the University of Florida and a 2016 grad of the University of Mississippi, where she received her Master of Arts in Sociology. Danielle understands the need for equity and education. Her graduate research was on young males in the juvenile justice system, and this has equipped her with the insight to show an extra effort in her counseling methods. Our next presenter is Janice Kitchens. Janice is a Tutwiler, Mississippi native, and she serves as an admissions counselor and recruiter at Jackson State University. She is a proud 2020 graduate of Mississippi Valley State University, located in Itta Bena, Mississippi. She is currently pursuing a Master's of Arts in Teaching, and she desires to enrich the lives of students through education. Although she is a graduate of dear old Mississippi Valley State University, the I love, all HBCU institutions have a special place in her heart. Our third presenter is Sonia Coker. Sonia is the transfer recruiter and admissions counselor at Alcorn State University. Sonia was born and raised in Mound Bayou, Mississippi, and is a 1997 graduate of John F. Kennedy High School and a 2001 graduate of Rust College. For over 20 years, Sonia has served in the capacity of higher education, providing and servicing potential students opportunities to actually attend and graduate from college. She is most honored to serve as the transfer admissions counselor recruiter for Alcorn State University, where she recruits in the Mississippi Delta region and also community colleges. So welcome, Danielle, Janice, and Sonia. And Danielle, I will now turn the presentation over to you.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to start us with a video to get some excitement flowing in this virtual space. So everyone tune in and enjoy.
With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high, they bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high, they bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high to bring me down. Can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hope that everyone enjoyed that, and I hope that we can embody as much excitement as the staff and students at Winston-Salem University had. So again, thank you for joining us on today for our Topic Tuesday. As Shannon mentioned, I'm Danielle Griffin, the director at the North Mississippi Get to College Center. There are many amazing resources that look at the impact of HBCUs on society. Dr. Favors notes in her book, In Shelter in a Time of Storm, how Black colleges fostered generations of leadership and activism, that throughout this definitive history of how HBCUs became a vital seabed for politicians, community leaders, reformers, and activists. Dr. Favors emphasizes that what he calls an unwritten second curriculum at HBCUs. In Shelter in a Time of Storm, which is a book everyone should write the name down so you all can check it out. Shelter in a Time of Storm, how Black colleges foster generations of leadership and activism, Dr. Favors chronicles the development and significance of HBCUs through stories from several institutions. He demonstrates how HBCUs became a refuge during the oppression of the Jim Crow era and illustrates the central role that campus communities played during the civil rights and Black power movements. Martha Beringer White is a graduate of the first class of Barber Scotia College in 1869. There are several HBCU categories that we can discuss on today, and we have Jackson State and Alcorn here to emphasize some points in regards to their school and the HBCU college life in general. But we have single gender colleges such as Spelman, Bennett, and Morehouse. Then you have liberal arts HBCU colleges, which are a holistic education experience dedicated to academic excellence in the liberal arts and sciences. And then there's also a variety of HBCUs that range in size. You have large ones like A&T, Winston-Salem, or FAMU located in Tallahassee, Florida. You have mid-sized HBCUs such as Xavier or Clark Atlanta, and small HBCUs such as Fisk, Spelman, and Morehouse. The great thing about these options is that students can explore these to see what will be the best environment for their success. I would love to hear from Jackson State as well as Alcorn in regards to the success their students are looking to obtain as they go to you all's institution.
All right, good morning. As stated, I am Janice Kitchens, an admissions counselor here at Jackson State University. At Jackson State University, we were founded in 1877. So those are hundreds of years of rich cultural history, not only for African American people, but for other minorities and groups as well. JSU is currently ranked as one of the top HBCUs in nation in STEM research, and very high research institution. We offer over 90 programs of study that's on the undergraduate and graduate level, but JSU not only pushes academics and academia and high excellence for our students in that standpoint, but we also, with our culture, we look to cultivate our students on a holistic basis. So we offer over 60 plus clubs and organizations that tailor to specific students' needs, whether it be a social activism club or something to just relax. But we give all of our students, African American, white, or other minorities, the opportunity to be themselves, further cultivate themselves while adding to JSU's rich history.
Thank you, Janice. Sonia, would you like to chime in? You're on mute. Hey, Sonia, you're on mute, sorry.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Again, good morning. My name is Sonia Coker. I'm the transfer counselor recruiter for Alcorn State University, one of the best HBCUs in the land, where knowledge and character does matter. Think about the knowledge and character. It's how you present yourself, how you're going to go out, where our students will go out in the world and compete with others. It's not an institution where students can't compete. You can be very competitive. We are a school that would take you as far as a student would like to go. It's up to the student though, to let us know so we can meet you and take you where you need to go. Here, we have over 60 plus organizations and majors here at Alcorn as well. Some of our top majors here is business, nursing is top #1 major, and also agriculture. We are a land grant institution. So we was founded in 1871, one of the oldest HBCUs in Mississippi and second oldest state supported land grant institution in Mississippi. So we have a lot of great programs to offer students. It's up to the students. Again, we can take you and we can nurture you where you need to be. But again, the lasting effect would come from a student actually wanting to go where they're trying to go as far as a major. You specify, and then we can meet you on the other side to take you where you need to go. We've had several partnerships. I know y'all mentioned a lot about the STEM programs. We do have a partnership with Hines Community College in Utica. Also, let's see, Natchez, Adams County, Claiborne County, Jefferson County that we serve. South Delta, Vicksburg, Warren, and Wilkinson County. These are scholarships where they offer a scholarship through the STEM program here to help support those students that have an interest in those programs. So again, Alcorn is a school where knowledge and character does matter, and we will take you where you need to go.
Great. Thank you so much, Janice and Sonia, for that brief history on your institutions. It's amazing to see the origin beginning at 1837 and how things have definitely transitioned, not only to and through the both of you as you both work for HBCU. So thank you for that. And we hope to hear more from you as we make our way through this webinar. All right, so we have another video that we'd love to share with you, and it's from one of my favorite shows. So,
when you were applying to colleges, was Hillman your first choice?
Of course. I was accepted at Georgia through a hissy fit. She said she couldn't understand why a girl with so much to offer like myself would limit myself at a school like Hillman. That's what she told me.
It sounds familiar.
She didn't understand. My great-granddaddy was all but accepted at this certain Ivy League school until he showed up for the interview. He went to Hillman, and he went on to become the first black circuit judge of Madison County, Virginia. He always told me, I was 7 years old,
Baby,
You can go to school any place, but no school will love you and teach you to love yourself and know yourself like Hillman.
I honestly think that video speaks a lot for itself, especially if you're a great fan of A Different World. Even though they're acting, they really embody what I believe to be felt on the campus of an HBCU, where I never attended, but being a great fan, I feel like a piece of me is within that show. And just to know that that's an experience that counselors, a lot of your students are wanting to have, that's a good thing, because you have people like Janice and Saya that are, there on those campuses willing to support them. So again, this was shown to basically show you all that HBCUs are not a backup plan. And so they offer just as much at their institutions as a PWI. HBCUs are incubators for Black leaders because they give students spaces to explore all aspects of themselves away from racial judgment and stereotypes. Janet, Sonia, are you all able to speak to that?
I was gonna give Sonia space to go first if she'd like to, since I responded first in the last question, but I definitely
I can go.
have
I didn't see it. Am I still muted or am I unmuted now?
You're unmuted, Ms. Sonia.
I gotta get back used to this thing. I can agree to a certain extent. It does give the students aspect of themselves and helps them, become who they want to be in a sense. But as far as the racial judgment and stereotypes, I don't think none of us will ever get away from that. That will always exist anywhere, not just saying HBCUs. It's broad, it's open. I mean, we all experience it. It's in some shape or some form, it still exists, but it's still, I agree where, it does give kids an opportunity if they're at an HBCU, even though, again, we're HBCUs, right? But we do have here at Alcorn, we have all ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep that in my mind because, I mean, our kids may not be stereotyped as something, but what about the ones that coming from cross country, other states, so I think that's something that we'll never get away from, but we try, to make everybody feel as comfortable as possible being who you are yourself. We can't change people. People are gonna be who they are, no matter what you do or say what position or title we hold. You are who you are, right? You are the makeup of who you are. So as leaders in HBCUs, we can help, in this area. With that being said, but again, still, we need the knowledge to know that it doesn't matter where you go, you still will have some of it. I'm not saying that it's more rapid like it used to be back in the days, but it still exists to a certain extent, I would say, if that make any sense.
Yes, it does. And I mean, you made an interesting point, because even though this is a quote by a professor at an HBCU, it can be seen somewhat as a myth. Most students may think, if I go to a HBCU, I'll never have to deal with the racial judgment or the stereotypes because I'm going to be around people that look like me and maybe other like-minded individuals. But being that you're in that space as well, that's a myth that we can crack and say, hey, no, this is a lifetime thing you have to deal with no matter what space you're going to be in. So thank you, Sonia, for that. Janice, did you have something to say in regards to the quote too?
Yes, I'll be extremely brief, but I have to agree with Sonia about we're always going to have some shape, form of fashion, experience that in some shape, form of fashion. But in agreement with the quote, we do allow students, and that's all of our students, whether they are minorities or whether they are white students, or we give them all the space to be who they are. And that's the unique thing about HBCUs. You don't have to come here with the mindset of I have to assimilate or I have to fit in. You can be completely yourself. And we also give them space to reinvent themselves. Like stated, we may not be on the side of our African American students may not be on the side of the racial stereotypes and judgments at an HBCU, but we do have other student populations that can face it. And what we do here at HBCUs is teach our students or teach African American students about different cultures so they can prohibit themselves from passing racial judgment or making stereotypes about cultures or other people that they don't know about. So that's all I have to say on it.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for sharing that. Our next slide here is just for statistics purposes. HBCUs represent 3% of the nation's colleges, but graduate about 20% of all Black undergrads and 25% of those with STEM degrees. Nearly 75% of HBCU students are eligible for Pell Grants, and over half are first generation college students. Yet HBCUs are better at retaining this population than non-HBCUs. So counselors, this should have your ears ringing, because I mean, if you're connected with Get to College and you know the work that we do in regards to FAFSA completion, state aid, and even college planning process for students, this should definitely give you that extra boost of encouragement to get your students to get their financial aids done and help them complete the process to attend college. So again, the numbers are there and the data speaks for itself. As you can see, we're in love with videos over here. So here's one more quick video from the show Blackish.
But when we went to Howard, I felt something special. From the moment we got there, everything about it made me feel proud and excited to be Black. Again, except Dad. Of course, I've seen Black kids protest before, but Howard is the only place I've ever seen Black kids on opposite sides of the same protest. I've never seen so many different kinds of Black people in one place. Rich kids, poor kids, middle class, Southern, Republican, Democrat. It was like the only thing that defined being Black at Howard was being proud that you are.
All right, so I'm not sure if you all are familiar with that show Blackish, but again, that's what that video was from. And I think this does speak to a few of some of the things that Saya and Janice were speaking about as far as the racial injustice or things that go on within an actual HBCU. This was a prime example. He said that he'd never seen, you know, someone of the same race pretty much going against each other over, you know, a topic. And so that's part of what some students could face within those schools. But as he said and summed it up, you know, it's just a space to be Black, and that, you know, that overpowered everything that was going on there in that video. So I'll allow Janice and Saya to use this as a segue going into our next slide with notable HBCU alumni that I'm sure both of them can mention some very prominent names.
Okay. We're here at Alcorn, some notable alumni that have attended here. I'm sure everybody have heard of the famous Steve McNair football player here, Leslie Frazier, Donald Driver, Alex Haley, Michael C. Duncan, and also let's not forget Medgar Evers, a 1952 graduate of Alcorn State.
All right, so here at Jackson State, we do have some notable alum, some historically great and some most recent alum. You guys know the football great NFL player Walter Payton, but we are also the alma mater for longtime Mississippi Congressman for Congressional District 2, Mr. Benny Thompson. As well as former Secretary of Education, Mr. Rod Page. Some more recent and very progressive alum, Mr. Lamonte Pierce of the 2017 graduating class. He was actually the inventor of the clean straw, and he invented that device here on JSU's campus. It is, if you're familiar with the drinking water crisis, like the Flint, Michigan water crisis, where there was lead in the drinking water, or even here in Jackson or other places where lead was found in drinking water. He invented this device that filters lead out of drinking water, and he graduated in 2017. So that's just a testament that JSU is yet graduating and molding world-changing individuals. Or like former Miss JSU, Miss Deja Davis, who just recently accepted a 6-figure position with Amazon, walking out of JSU. That's how well JSU prepares our students. So yeah.
All right, thank you guys. So, should I only suggest HBCUs to Black students? And this is a question for our counselors. And so I know y'all have been kind of, well, quiet, but I'd like you all to use the chat and let me know your thoughts on this. And while you're chiming in and writing your response in the chat, I'll read this quote from the Washington Post. No one expects that only Catholic students will enroll at Notre Dame, Morgan State. President David Wilson says, so why should anyone be surprised that a historically Black college or university would recruit students of other races? So what do we have in the chat? Miss, I'm gonna say Miss McFarland, Miss McFarland Brown, I don't wanna mispronounce your first name, said, of course not. You know, she would not only suggest HBCUs to Black students. Janice and Sonia, do you all usually have this conversation with counselors and or students when you are going into the schools or when you're meeting with students in the recruitment process?
Yeah, I don't discriminate. we accept all students. Like I said, Alcorn ranks #1 when it comes to diversity of all walks of life here. So I don't think we should just say, oh, this because it's historical Black, that
Sure.
all Black only. No, ma'am. We allow all students to, become a part of our Alcorn family. It's one family.
Gotcha.
Here at Alcorn.
All right, y'all, this topic is very special to me, so I'm gonna try not to elaborate too long, but I just need y'all to understand where I'm coming from. All right, so to begin, no, of course not. In the field, I do notice that a lot of students of other races do shy away from HBCUs, but HBCUs were founded out of a necessity. African Americans were barred from getting educated, from getting to the opportunity to receive graduate degrees or to get higher education, right? So we were developed out of the need or because a certain group of people were disenfranchised or being institutionally profiled in this, like we couldn't go to school. So why would an HBCU do the same thing to another person or to another group of people when we were founded to combat that? Y'all following me? So of course not. Like I earlier stated, HBCUs we are a safe haven for African American students because we were founded for them, but we are growing and we desire to be a safe haven for all people.
Great responses from the both of you. We have a few responses in the chat. Miss McKendra said, no, we should support wherever their dreams and aspirations take them. Francis mentioned no as well. And then we heard from Ms. McFarland Brown again. She said, with the majority of our school population being comprised of African Americans, I do, however, lead with HBCUs as I am a product of Tougaloo College. And then we have Chanel mentioned that her husband graduated from Tougaloo as well. So it's interesting to hear you all say that because of course I think about the reverse end of things where you have the name PWI. And so it's it makes you, while there are I would say, programs in place that support minority populations increasing at PWIs. We hope that it's the reverse as well, to where they're, being more inclusive and saying, we will accept more Blacks, just like HBCUs are saying, we'll accept all races. And we hope that counselors are either pushing all students or those that feel like the best program is at that HBCU. We hope that they are encouraging students to go there as well. So we want that on the counselors' end to be for both your African-American students as well as, your other population of students as well, to encourage them to look at all schools and not just the common PWIs in the state or out of the state. Thank you everyone that chimed in the chat. We appreciate the participation. And as always, thanks again, Janice and Sonia, for your insight. So I'll let you all take this slide as we are talking about diversity in HBCUs. Janice, I'd like you to start off on this one. You're on mute.
All right, Latino enrollment is the fastest growing demographic, and many HBCUs also see rising diversity in transfer and graduate professional programs. Moreover, some four-year HBCUs, such as Lincoln University of Missouri, West Virginia State University, and Bluefield State College, have a majority enrollment of white students. All right, diversity in HBCUs is extremely important, and this is almost becoming redundant because that is so important in today's society, in today's missions for HBCUs. Jackson State in particular, we represent over 51 nations here on our campus. I'm not sure technically if Tigers run in packs or prides or what's the exact technical term for it, but we are only as strong as our weakest person on our team. And if we help to cultivate all cultures, all people across all cultures, nationalities, we feel like the weakest person is still going to be super great. And we all want to propel and help each other. Diversity is extremely important because we don't want to just cultivate African-American students in their Blackness, but broadening their frame of reference. We can learn from other races of people, other cultures, just as well as they can learn from us. There's no one-sided way to fix this issue or fix the divide. Fear comes from the unknown. And what we don't know about certain cultures can cause us to create different stereotypes and things of that nature. So by learning about other cultures here at JSU, we have different nationalities like they present for a week on their culture, how they do things. And this gives our students or African-American students insight on other cultures as well as other cultures getting to learn about us. So it is extremely important for the success and the long term, the right now success of HBCU institutions and the long term, because we are indeed better together. I know that sounds a little cliche, but we are indeed better together.
I agree with Ms. Janice. Same token here at Alcorn. I mean, we are one. I don't know where it even came from as far as the division. I mean, we're all one. I mean, the Lord, God don't look at us at any different. Just like the old saying, one sin is not better than the other. Okay, no race is not better than the other. You know, we're all in this thing together trying to make it. I mean, we need to come out the crab mentality, you know. If I see you going up, I'm gonna try to pull you a little bit further down. No, I have to help you. You know, if I can't, I tell people all the time, for me, you know, being an employee here at Alcorn, and that's how all of us are. If we can't help you, I mean, we're not gonna do any harm. The best thing is to just take your hands off. You might want to just quit, because you got to help the kids get to where they need to go, regardless of their race, their creed. We still are in this together. We want everybody to succeed and excel. We also offer, we have so many different races here that we have a diversity week here. And they usually have like a parade, give the kids an opportunity, in other words, to showcase where their background or where they're coming from. They have the parade, they do the different type of foods that they have in the cab. And I thought that was something really good, you know, to start. So it's not only, you know, when they come here, we have only our type of food, we call it soul food, right? So they have different type of foods that they might enjoy eating or whatever. So now we've made it more competitive. Even in the caf now they serve, you know, you might have a bunch of students that's now coming up with being a vegan. So we even have vegan restaurants. And they also have servings there for vegan students, you know, different type of foods that they can try. Not taking away, even though they're in this setting, but we are not taking away their background from where they come from. We try to make it, in other words, here all come home away from home. You're in another setting, but you still have your home feeling too, where you can be comfortable in your own skin here at Alcorn State.
Hey, when you said vegan, my heart smiled. So it's good that you are definitely looking out for those students, you know, no matter what, because you don't want to discriminate. So
right.
I think the discussion that has been had between Sonia and Janice around diversity in HBCUs would be a great way to end the presentation in general as we look at statistics of who is actually attending HBCUs by their race. So we have American Indian. Well, I'll let you all look at the chart. And again, as I mentioned, the data speaks for itself. So you can definitely see larger numbers in certain races that you probably wouldn't expect. So from here, I know that there were a few comments in the chat. If you're able to read those, I would definitely recommend you do so. Thank you, Steve, for chiming in there. And then I'll go ahead and swing this back over to, I believe it's Shannon, as we may go into just a brief question and answer session.
Okay, let me transition back to my screen here. All right. So thank you so much, Danielle, Sonia, Janice. I really love the dialogue. I love how y'all really spoke from the heart. It was great for those of us who are trying to explore more about HBCUs. So if there's anyone who has any questions at this point, you can start typing those in the Q&A and we'll be glad to address those. Also wanted to let you know that for all of our participants, we would appreciate it if you would complete the short survey that will automatically pop up today at the end of the meeting. If you will please fill that out, it won't take long, and give us some feedback on today's webinar so that we can keep improving. So if there's any questions, we'll kind of keep monitoring this. I'm not seeing any right at the moment, ladies. So we'll kind of move on with that. We will give you our presenters information. Janice, Sonia, if maybe y'all want to type in the chat to everyone, your email or the best way to reach you, whether it's phone or email. I'm sure there are people here who might have questions later about Jackson State or Alcorn. All right, so we'll keep moving through the slides for the sake of time, and we'll let Janice and Sonia get their information in the chat. All right, so today's webinar was actually the first in our spring series. Some of y'all were with us in the fall as we did 5 webinars in the fall. This is the first one in our spring series. We have 4 more, one next week actually, about making data-driven decisions to support students. In March, we'll be talking about college ROTC information. On April 5th, for some of you that were with us last year, we had the William Winter Institute for Racial Reconciliation. Yes, that is a mouthful, but they will be back with us in April of this year, doing a webinar on diversity and equity. And then on May 3rd, we're going to talk about college counseling and best practices. So they will continue through the spring. You can register on our website for these. If you participate in 5 webinars for the 21-22 school year, you can apply for 0.5 CEUs. And if you attend all 10 fall and spring webinars, you can apply for 1 CEU. These webinars are listed under the Educator tab and then choose Professional Development. While you're there registering, please check out all the other resources for you and your students listed under that Educator tab. Next, we have one more opportunity to be trained on how to complete the FAFSA. We're going to have a virtual FAFSA training on January the 31st from 1 to 3:30 p.m. So we hope for those of you who've either not attended our virtual FAFSA trainings before, or maybe you've attended and you want to get a refresher course, that you will go ahead and sign up for that virtual FAFSA training in January. Like I said, this is our last planned FAFSA training for the spring, so we hope that you will take part in that. And then also, if there are any CCR teachers on here, Kirsten is continuing her CCR teacher chats through February and March, and you can see those dates, and they'll take place from 3:30 to 4:15. And you can also register for these CCR teacher chats under the professional development part of our website. Kirsten, do we any more questions before we sign off? Okay, I see her shaking her head no.
There is one that is in the Q&A. For those of us that have high schoolers that are thinking about HBCUs for college, what campus events or activities do you recommend that we participate in to become more familiar with the campus and culture of JSU and Alcorn? So I'll let our 2 representatives from those institutions answer that live.
All right, so currently JSU is offering tours. So first thing is tours. Our campus is open for tours. We are following all COVID guidelines to help protect ourselves as well as the students. But get in and get a tour, get a feel of those particular campuses. JSU, we have no set in stone dates for like a spring open house, but we are currently conducting virtual like college days where different colleges like the College of Business, our College of Liberal Arts, they showcase their particular college and the majors that they offer. So getting in for any little informationals like that will help get them some insight. We also do have high school days where we allow students from high schools all over the state to come and see what like a day in the life of a JSU student would be like. So if you reach out to us or reach out to me, I will get you more information on forthcoming events. And just for future references, different events that we will have for you guys and your students as well.
Okay, currently here at Alcorn, we are still doing campus tours. From my understanding this morning, they're taking it more towards like individual ones instead of the big bus tours now. Due to COVID-19, we're still trying to follow guidelines as well. We do have students that work in the office with us that also assist with, any questions and answers, students might have regarding Alcorn or campus life. We have some of our ambassadors here in the office that are stationed here in the office with us as well. We don't have a date yet for our spring high school day, transfer day as well. But when that information comes forward, I did put my information in the chat where you can contact me and we'll try to get that information out to you. If you have any questions regarding Alcorn in general as a whole, I offer the opportunity for students, to contact me, and we can give you that personal information that you're looking for. We get it every day, kids calling with different questions and concerns regarding actually attending school. Because I know It tends to be kind of scary starting out. You don't know people that work there. You don't know the type of question to ask. Sometimes kids think, I don't want to ask a dumb question, but look, no question is a dumb question to me. If you don't know, you don't know. It's the best thing is to call and inquire about it. And I would do my best. And if I can't answer, I will get you to the next best person that can answer for you. To better satisfy the customer, when it comes to, trying to get you transition over to Alcorn State.
Thank you for that. We don't have any more questions that have come through. We are getting a lot of love for our presenters today. So we wanted to share that with all of you. So thank you for your times and for the presentation. There's been a lot of great responses from the participants for the information that you all have shared.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. If y'all fill out that quick survey when it pops up, and hopefully we will see everyone next week, back-to-back weeks for Topic Tuesday. And we're going to talk about some data. So I know Kirsten is really excited about that. She loves some data, and I do think we'll have a really good time with that. We have a national presenter from one of our national organizations that's going to talk to us about data-driven decisions. So we hope to see everyone next Tuesday, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you again, Janice, Sonia, and Danielle. We'll see you soon.